although most of the things have been already told by Mr. Ambassador, of course, by your speech. I'm glad because, and I will come back, I think it's a good time to develop the business relation in between France and India today. I will tell you why I think so. I'm glad because there are two things which are of interest for me in this debate. First, it's about India, which is not my second country because I'm French. And number two, because of Make in India. Because I started my career being in charge to redevelop the areas in which the steel industry was destroying, was shutting down some facilities and destroying jobs. So I understand, I think I can understand what is the issue when you have to create, of course, at that time we did not have to create so many jobs like the ones which India has to create. But I think I understand, and I fully agree with one remark which was made by Mr. Ambassador. The concept of redeveloping, creating jobs, is based upon many things, but there is sometimes something which is forgotten, is let's first work with the existing companies which can be developed in the area. And not only think about foreign FDI or transfer of technology. I have been with three gates of entry. Number one, I was in charge, being in charge of the business development at Usinor and then Arcelor. I was in charge to find a partner for Usinor at that time in India. So it gave me the opportunity to meet with most of the leading steel companies in India, to understand that there were some differences between them in terms of culture and business culture. And finally to come to Tata, which was our partner. And by the way, this partnership did end when Mr. Vital took over Arcelor, which is also something I think difficult to understand for the foreigners, that there are some differences in the business communities. Number two, I was with Essar. I would say I was with the Rouya family. They taught me a lot. They explained me what is a Marwari and what is the business culture of a Marwari. We did acquire two companies. One in Canada, which is a small part of France. It was not in Quebec. It was not in Quebec, but it was in Canada. And not only your country, it's also our country. And the second one in Europe, when we acquired the refinery in UK, which was closed by Shell. So it also gave me some experience on what's happening, what are the difficulties. And now, as you rightly say, I'm trying to help some French leading companies in metal and mining, like Eramet, which is one of the biggest mining company, or in engineering like FIF, to develop their business in India, in the sense invest in India, find a partner, and deal with this partner. Given that, I will only look from the perspective of look at Make in India and what's happening today, from the perspective of big companies, FDI. I'm not a specialist in medium-sized company, marketing their products in India. I don't know what you say. I don't have any added value. I have to leave on the side how to develop the business which do already exist in India. I would like to make 3 or 4 remarks. First one, as I mentioned, it's a very good time now to develop the French-Indian business partnership. Because I think everybody in France knows that there is a new Prime Minister, of course. Everybody knows, I'm talking about the business community. Everybody knows and understands what is making India. Because they heard about this from the times when there was many difficulties in France, and they also heard about it, about the concept. 2 years ago, I think, with Mr. Montebourg, you may remember, the Minister of Industry, developing the same type of concept. And, but everybody was, 2 months ago, everybody was saying, yes, but we understand. We understand that something's happening, but where is the trigger? And the trigger came. And it's very important to understand that something did really happen when the Prime Minister was here with the Rafale decision. Which means that we are on a way. It's going to be long, it's going to be difficult, but now we have to implement. It's not only a concept discussion, now we have to implement, and we have to make in India the consequences of the Rafale deal. So three remarks. Number one, it's not related to Make in India specifically, but it's related to my experience. I think the most important thing to develop a business in India is for the investor who knows why he wants to go to India. He knows about the market, no need to tell him. He knows about the complexity. He knows about how and how much he will have to finance. But there is something which is always missing. He does not understand the way it works. And my first remark is, and this is not Make in India, develop the intercultural relations. For instance, let's take a few examples very quickly. I was working with Davezac. We were looking after an Italian company, not a French one. Italian company. Finally,
that's not easy either.
Finally, we decided not to go and not to acquire. I'm writing down a letter saying to this poor gentleman, sorry, we are not going to acquire the company because blah, 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 blah. I was with one colleague of mine, one friend of mine, and we are home in London. I'm handing the letter to Ravi. Get it? Okay. Perfect. You sign it and you sign it. And then he goes to my friend, Rajiv, and he said, Rajiv, please, rewrite a little bit. And we go out of the room and I say, Rajiv, I don't understand. What is it? He says it's perfect. He says I have to sign and to send it, and he asks you to rewrite it. Why? And he said, Alain, you have to understand something. You speak English starting by E. We speak English starting by I. So this is something, if you don't understand things like that, it's very difficult. I had a huge debate with the boss of the CEO of Eramet. He's talking always about feasibility study. Okay. His partner is talking about business plan. It took me a very, very long time to explain both of them that in the French meaning of feasibility, the French meaning of business plan is feasibility study, and the Indian meaning of feasibility study is business plan. So this is something which is also more. Last, because I could give time. No businessman, no French businessman is able to understand what means time in India. you talk to the business people in France and they say, oh, in India you have to be patient. I said, no, it's not a question of patience. It's a question of momentum. If you downsize the moment, the time, if you downsize the time when the decision is going to be taken, then the next morning it finishes. And you will have to wait, exactly, you will have to wait 4, 6 months longer. So all of these small things make me feel that, again, the policy is understood. The reason why someone wants to invest in India, to enter the Indian market, they know about it for sure. The implementation is the most difficult part, and the intercultural relationship, the interpersonal relationship also is something very important. But this has little to do with Make in India, but it's because, again, it's not a one shot, it's going to be long. Second issue, second remark, transfer technology. We understand. To create jobs, we need to develop the industry, so we need to acquire technologies. Everything is fine. Everybody understands. My only suggestion, again based upon my experience, for instance, with Tata, is that if you want to really acquire the technology, integrate the technology, then you have to be minimum trained. You have to have a minimum skill. And one of the issue for me, which I can see in India, is that you have to increase the level of the engineers through training. Because otherwise, what will happen? The foreigners, they will come with their technology, quite reluctant, let's be frank, to transfer the technology. And if in front of them, they don't have people who are capable, but capable in a good sense of the term, capable to integrate what the outsider is bringing, then it's a miss. Because the foreign company will come, develop the project, and then go, and after that, you have the issues. So I think the effort in terms of training is something. Two other remarks. Number one, the rule of law. The rule of law. I'm not going to talk about labor issues because I'm not a specialist, but I think that the investors, they want some consistency. So they want to be sure that they will not have to go to the embassy, to the French embassy, for instance, saying, okay, we have problems because this court is saying this and this other court is saying that. And finally, I will stop like that. Select in the big portfolio of Make in India projects, infrastructure, corridors, railways, and so on. Make some selections. Because it's no use to run everywhere. I don't think I share the idea that the vocation of this campaign and India is not there to copy China. The idea is not to create one more world exporter. The idea is to create an industrial basis to develop, not to create, to develop an industrial basis through technology, through investment, in order to offer jobs, at least we hope, because your point was very much valid. For instance, with with Steve, we're working on the concept of the factory of the future, together with some Indian engineers. And maybe in this factory, there will be at least, or no more than 2 or 3. So this is it. This is my, these are my remarks. But again, thank you.